Thank you for joining Goldstreet Design's Ask Us Hour. Today we will be covering 2018's top 5 creative design trends. I'm Sarah Stengel, the new creative director here at Goldstreet Designs. Today we will be covering a few things on our 10-minute presentation, starting off with who is Goldstreet and who am I. Then we'll jump into 2018's top 5 creative design trends, why these trends should matter to you, and tips that you can use for creating outreach and education materials. Then we'll follow up with an open forum to discuss any questions or comments regarding utility education and outreach. Goldstreet Designs. We have been in business for over 12 years. We are strictly utility focused. It's all that we do. We've worked with over 370 utilities and municipalities on over 3,000 projects, including video, web, print, creative, strategy, behavior change, social media, and much more. And I'm Sarah Stengel, the creative director. I have been in marketing for over 15 years. I've worked in traditional media, digital marketing, advertising strategy, all while ensuring client success through the entire life of a project. All right, so now let's jump into our top 5 creative design trends. The first design trend is infographics. These are a representation of information in a graphic format designed to make the data easily understandable at a glance, also called data visualization. There are lots of ways to create an infographic that look very different. Here are some examples of varying designs. With the rise of images on the web, using custom icons and illustrations, creating interesting designs make your information stand out from the crowd. Some tips for creating infographics. Create the graphic for your target audience. Keep the message simple. Make it a manageable length and size. Depending upon the medium that you're using, they will have size specifications or recommendations for you. For example, on a social media site versus a website versus a blog post, they're all going to have different size specifications that you should stay within. Make sure to add white space. And you can have varying amounts of text, but a little minimal text is better. You can see these examples here. This is using lots of white space here, and it has a nice user flow to make you follow through the information on the infographic. The second design trend is social media images, and these are bite-sized images that you use on social media platforms to grab attention. They're snackable tidbits of information. Visuals in your social media strategy are essential. These images are designed to stop the reader in their scrolling tracks, engaging them with an image to get them to click and get more information about your topic. Always keep in mind your channel that you're using and who the audience is on that channel. You can use background images like this one here, the 12 powerful examples of energy marketing, or you can use illustrations like the other examples here. It's going to depend on your social media channel and also the message that you're trying to get across. Design trend number 3. This is bold, modern serif fonts. So in typography, a serif is a small line attached to the end of a stroke in a letter or a symbol. So for example, here you can see the little red tails. That is considered a serif. And the I Am Sans has no serifs. So sans serif fonts are this one here. And a serif font has the little tails here where you can see the red portion. Serif fonts are going back to old printing days where they started. They're a good way to add both elegance and sophistication to your work. All of these examples have the titles that are using a serif font. Note that the body of the text does not have to be serif. You can mix fonts as long as they are complementary fonts, and they tend to work well when you have contrasting sizes. For example, the water bottle poster here. This is a serif font, and this paragraph underneath is a sans serif font, but because it's different sized and different colors, you're able to mix them and they work. Don't get too crazy with the level or the number of fonts that you're using. Try to keep it to 2 or 3 max. Some typical serif fonts that you'll see or you can use are Times New Roman, Courier New, Georgia, MS Serif. All of these fonts are easy to read and they're commonly used in email and documents. Some undesirable font examples are these ones here. So Bradley Hand and Papyrus, these are the worst of the offenders. They come off as kitschy, childish, inauthentic, and they were really overused in the early 2000s. Design trend number 4, authentic photography. So this is photography that is generated by the company instead of purchasing a stock photography image. This doesn't have to break the bank. The photos that you take can be taken from an iPhone. They work just fine, so you don't need to always hire a professional photographer and pay lots of money. Taking photos with your iPhone will work just as well. And using images that the reader can relate to as part of the community is more likely to get them to engage with your material and draw them in. This also allows your marketing material to be original and ensures your brand is consistent and images represent your community. Here are a few different pieces that use authentic photography in different ways. For example, this Ashland water quality report is showing pictures of where the water is coming from, giving the reader confidence. Then there's this above brochure that has a rendering of their actual building as the focal point. So people will recognize the building if they've been there before, and if they have not been there before, it gives them an idea of what to expect when they do show up. The Welcome to Savannah brochure is showing various things in their photo. It has the river, the boat, the skyline. Instead of using a stock photography, this gives the reader a true representation of what the area looks like. People have a strong connection to their community, so showing authentic photography really helps them make a connection to your material. Okay, and the last design trend that I'm going to talk about is the simplistic design examples. So this one is minimalistic, simplistic design, which is one of my favorite trends that we're seeing right now. So you have empty spaces and focal points. You have clean lines and flat surfaces. Its purpose is to make the content stand out and be the focal point of your piece. Simplistic design is timeless, so you don't have to worry about your materials quickly looking dated. They go back to the basics of design. They strip out the clutter and overused complex design elements with one distinct focus of content without the competition of lots of other elements. This could be a logo, a simple image, or a photograph, or even text as the focal point. See the examples here. This one is really focusing on the leak alert text. This one is really focusing on the image and it's drawing your eye up to the words save water. Or this one is using a photo to draw you into their message. Minimalism is a trend that never gets old. It's easy to incorporate with lots of different types of content. Now, why should utility companies and municipalities care about the trends they're seeing? Well, for example, in 1970, we were exposed to only 500 ads per day, and now in 2018, we're getting thrown over 5,000 ads per day. So the goal of your outreach campaign is to bring awareness to something of value, engage the reader, and ultimately create interest and long-lasting behavior change. That's hard to do when people are getting tons of information thrown at them. So in order to get your information to be digested, it needs to be visually appealing and in an easy format, or simply it will get lost in the crowd. So make sure you simplify your message to reach the masses and tell your story. Fewer words and images are effective. Would you look twice if you saw your material in your mailbox? Here's an example of a piece that is using graphics to tell your story. It's showing the impact of this measure on the community. There's using white space or empty space to grab attention, and it has an easy user flow through the piece. So next time that you're tasked with creating an outreach material, ask yourself these questions. What is your message and who is your audience? Is your message visually appealing? Are you utilizing white space or are you cramming in way too much information and it's getting lost? Do you have stock images or authentic photography? And would you stop and read it if this was something that came across your desk or your mailbox?